Mark Carney, once hailed as the technocratic savior of Canada's economy, now sits in the hot seat, leading a nation more divided than ever. To the liberal establishment, his rise to power is the grand finale of years of careful planning. A seamless fusion of global finance pedigree and political polish. With his central banker calm and decimal point precision, Carney was sold as the stabilizer Canada needed after the chaos of the Trudeau years. But here's the problem: stability isn't connection. While Carney's sipping soy-laced cocktails in Ottawa and giving keynote speeches to think tanks, the rest of the country is feeling the squeeze: rising costs, punishing taxes, an energy sector in limbo, and a growing sense that the people at the top have stopped listening. And just when the media was ready to write his obituary, hey, emerges. Pierre Poilievre, the Liberal Party and mainstream media treated his 2025 loss as the end of populist conservatism, a moment to move on. But they misunderstood both the man and the moment. Poilievre isn't the type to fade into political obscurity. Out of power, he doesn't retreat. He reloads. Now he's setting the stage for a thunderous comeback. And he's not going back to his old battleground in suburban Ottawa. He's heading west. Battle River Crowfoot, one of Alberta's safest conservative strongholds, is now his new political base. The message is loud and clear. This isn't just a campaign. It's a reckoning. He's aligning his run with the National Conservative Convention, rallying the grassroots, and plotting a return that could reshape the party and the country. The fight is no longer about left versus right. It's about elite technocracy versus real-world populism. Carney brings polish. Poilievre brings fire. In Canada? Canada is watching. Pierre Poilievre's move isn't just about winning a riding. It's about reclaiming control. This is political warfare, not to walk into the next conservative convention as a contender, but as the unquestioned leader, his relevance reborn by the grassroots. Let's rewind. The 2025 federal election wasn't some glowing victory for the Liberals. It was a rescue mission. A tired, scandal-ridden party clinging to power by the thinnest thread. Trudeau was pushed out quietly, strategically. In his place, Mark Carney, unelected, globalist central banker. A man drafted not by voters, but by insiders desperate for order. But even with every institutional lever pulled, even with glowing media headlines, carbon tax optics, and a stitched-together Frankenstein coalition of Liberals, NDP, and Bloc, Carney still couldn't secure a majority. That's not strength. That's fragility in a suit. Meanwhile, Poilievre, though defeated in his riding, led the Conservatives to their largest raw vote total in party history, beating even Harper's 2011 majority. His movement didn't crumble. It expanded into working-class Ontario, into the GTA suburbs, into NDP turf, and into liberal strongholds once considered untouchable. This is not the footprint of a failed movement. This is the groundwork of a resurgence. And what's his message? It's not policy speak for elites. It's not IMF buzzwords or Davos monologues. It's inflation in real terms. It's the central bank's failures, explained by someone who sounds like he stood in a Costco line, not someone sipping espressos in Geneva. His just inflation line, more than a slogan. It was a gut punch to every Canadian paying more for milk, meat, and mortgage. In an age where politicians feel out of touch, Poilievre talks like someone who knows what a grocery receipt looks like, and that matters, because in this country, where economic anxiety isn't theory but daily reality, the message that hits the kitchen table wins, not the one in spreadsheets. Mark Carney rules from the top, but Canada is starting to push back in today's Canada. Authentic leadership is rare, and Mark Carney isn't fooling anyone. He governs like a risk analyst, not a leader. His cabinet? A lineup of bureaucratic Technocrats fluent in committee reports, but tone-deaf to the growing frustration erupting in places like Alberta, Saskatchewan, and even parts of Ontario. Carney might impress the editorial boards with his polished speeches and economic charts. But to everyday Canadians, he's just another out-of-touch expert telling them what they should want, while ignoring what they actually need. While he's hosting green investment summits and obsessing over deficit forecasts, families are staring down energy bills that never stop rising. Grocery prices keep climbing, and in the West, the mood is shifting. Fast. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is no longer subtle. Her government is openly discussing provincial autonomy, even flirting with separation. That kind of language used to be taboo. Now it's mainstream. Because the feeling is real. Ottawa doesn't treat Alberta like a partner. It treats it like a cash machine. And right in the middle of this political storm, Pierre Poilievre makes his move. His decision to run in Alberta isn't a retreat. It's a rallying cry. A declaration that the West will no longer be ignored. Poilievre isn't just returning to Parliament. He's planting his flag in the part of the country that feels most abandoned by the elites. At a time when trust in federal institutions is crumbling, this matters more than ever. The ArriveCan scandal, hundreds of millions wasted on a broken app, laid bare the rot in government oversight. Canadians saw bloated bureaucracy, botched spending, and endless contracts handed to insiders. So when Mark Carney talks about responsible governance and fiscal prudence, it rings hollow, because his version of stability, it's managing Canada's slow decline with a smile. Meanwhile, Poilievre's support hasn't wavered.